Thank you, Didi, for that musical introduction. That was probably a first for most people here, hearing a song sung in the Bengali language. Thank you so much for sharing your voice and your talent with us, and for broadening our musical scope. And if anyone here in the audience would like to know more about Didi, her music, or anything else about her, feel free to speak to her freely after the conclusion of the talk. And now on to the talk itself. As stated in the introduction, we are fortunate to have a foreign dignitary in our midst. He's the ambassador of Nepal. It's Ambassador Kaman Singh Lama, who represents the most significant link between his home country and the country we live in today, which is South Korea. Today, Ambassador Lama is accompanied by his wife, Madam Taman, his diplomatic secretary, Ms. Pratima Upeti, and his driver, Mr. Nimal Lama, who also happens to be the ambassador's younger brother. We'd like to welcome them for coming here. Thank them for coming here. And regular visitors to the GIC talk will remember that we had a talk on Nepal earlier this year in March, which focused on Nepal's connection to Buddhism. Ambassador Lama will build on that prior knowledge with his talk today, which will focus on opportunities for mutual cooperation on trade, investment, tourism, and education between Nepal and South Korea. Ambassador Lama has said that he emulates Korea's rapid development model. If there's any country that knows a thing or two about rapid development, yes, it's South Korea. So Ambassador Lama is definitely in the right place at the right time for creating strong mutual cooperation that will benefit both Nepal and South Korea. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ambassador Lama with a very warm round of applause.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to express to my view. I have to address to Chairman of Gwangju International Center and academicians, intellectuals, and scholars, ladies and gentlemen. Briefly, I summarize about my view. First of all, to present over here my paper. And at the onset, I would like to thank the mayor because I think there is no mayor here. That's why Gwangju International Center for the invitation and provide me this opportunity to present my view on multiple sectors, including our bilateral relations. I am extremely delighted to be at this most enhancing and beautiful city and share of memorable event with you in today's discussion. I would like to touch upon the most important speech of our relation that could shape our future course of cooperation. Since the relationship are developed in a solid foundation built over the mutual trust, mutual trust and participating that could go hand in the hand for mutual benefit, my effort would be to clear the ground for building concrete foundation over which our successor can stand proudly and create beautiful structure. During today the discussion, I would like to give thrust upon finding opportunities on mutual cooperation, on trade, investment, tourism, education, and also as well as in the hydropower sector. Thank you. Kamsahamnida. Please. Now my content is map of Asia, geographic location of Nepal, map of Nepal. There is a red point is Nepal, and northern part it covers China, bordering Tibet, and southern part and eastern part and west covering by India. It's bordering with India. This is the political map of Nepal. Nepal, at a glance, area 181 square kilometers. Location, China, north. India, east, west, and south. Capital city, Kathmandu. Population 26 million. Language, official language is Nepali, and there are more than 92 spoken languages. Political system, multi-party political system, parliamentary political system, officially turned to Republic from Kingdom in 2008, following People's Movement. 2008. Religion, a secular state. Although there is Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, and nowadays growing Christianity. It is fourth in number. Life expectancy at birth 65 years. Literacy rate 63%. Free education for the schooling of to grade 10 in government school. Divided into 3 regions: Himalaya region, mountainous hilly region, and Tarai plain region. Plain region is 15%, hilly region, Himalaya region 17%, and 68% is over there at the middle hill region. There are 4 seasons: autumn, winter, spring, summer, and weather varies in different regions. As a season, we can talk like Korea, similar. Also, but in Nepal, there is one difference between Korea and India. If you go in the summer, you can experience there 45 degree hot, up to 45 degree hot Celsius. I mean, And in the meantime, if you fly with a airplane, only a half hour, then you will arrive just reverse, minus 55. So Nepal is amazing. Geographically, Nepal, the lowest part of Nepal from the sea level is 70 meter high, just 70 meter. But the highest point is the world's highest peak, Mount Everest. We say in local language, Jomolongma. Nepali people say Sagarmatha. Internationally, they say Mount Everest. Phal Nepal. 8,848 meter high, existing, is geographically also very diverse country. Agriculture is the mainstay of Nepal. 38% of the GDP, Nepali people depend in the agriculture. And hydropower and tourism interest area of recent foreign investment, hydropower. Nepal is abundant natural resources. It is second in the world after Brazil. In water, we have like this. The GDP rate is real growth rate 4.6%. And GDP composition by sector, agriculture 38%, industry 20%, and service sector 42%. Population below poverty line 24%. This data from the 2010. Agriculture product, rice, corn, wheat, sugarcane, jute, milk, water, buffalo meat, and many more over there. Because variation of the climate of Nepal, you can find all the climate, leading climate in the same season only in Nepal. So you can grow up there many things, like any elevation we have existing over there. That's why any kind of climate, the food grains and horticulture, everything you can harvest over there. Industries, tourism, carpet, textile, small rice and jute, sugar, oilseed, mills, cigarettes, cement, and bricks production, Nepal's major production. And major trading partner, India and China. India and China, because of the immediate neighbor. India and China is a big partner, trading partner. As well, Korea is fifth biggest partner, trading partner. Nepal and India, and Nepal and Korea, we established diplomatic relation in 1969. In the consular level, in the same time, we established the consular level, the relation in 69. But if we talk about the ambassadorial level, Korea opened the embassy in Kathmandu in 1974. So we are counting ambassador level diplomatic relation from 1974. So next year we are going to celebrate 14th anniversary of the diplomatic relation with Korea. So Nepal Embassy and my colleague from Embassy and Korean friends, they want to grand celebration of the 14th relation day, diplomatic relation day, next year, May 15, in Seoul. The government of Nepal has established its embassy in Seoul in 2007. And many exchange of visit from Korea side, from Nepal side. But there is one lag, from Nepal and Korea, we are still unable to visit from Nepal high-level visit, either official nor state visit. From Korea side also no visit. So right now I request to all of you, let's improve our visit up to the state level, official level, Prime Minister's visit. Okay, I am thinking if possible in May, the dreams will come true. I think so. From Korea and Nepal, up to the foreign minister level visit, minister level visit. But again, I want to revise. There is no high-level official visit. In the time of the when submitting the credential to the foreign president, at that time I put this view also to him. He was giving me one word, near future we can execute this. Yeah, I am getting this kind of assurance. Okay, let's expect. Nepal and Korea, we built a mechanism also in MOPA. The personnel of the MOPA Nepal and MOPA Korea, we built on secretary, joint secretary level, one mechanism. And mechanism is an instrument of diplomacy. Still, it is not activated. So this year, I visit to Director General of MOPA Korea, and I put my view to have activate this mechanism, as well as Nepal and Korea group have a parliamentary friendship group also. It is not activated, and since this 23rd July 2007, the employment permit system, we signed a MOU with Korea. According this MOU, after that, Nepali EPS workers are working in Korea. Employment permit system. By the employment permit system, there is a more than 17,000, near about 18,000 EPS workers are working in Korea, and some are from the scholarship students are over there, and some are from the marriage visa. They are coming here, all together in Korea, there are Nepali people, maybe businessmen, all together we are expecting 22,000, near about 22,000. Even though we say 20,000, maybe day by day it is entering in Nepali people to Korea. That's why maybe 22,000 we are expecting. With Korea economic and technical cooperation, South Korea continues to remain a reliable development partner of Nepal. South Korea provides two types of grants through Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, and equipment, project aid, areas as agriculture, scholarship, hydropower, infrastructure, communication, health, education, culture, volunteer services, foreign direct investment, etc. are carried out since 1991. Trade and investment. South Korea is one of the 5 top investors in Nepal. The volume of Nepal-South Korea trade is growing, and so is the remarkable wide trade imbalance. This needs to be corrected to make our bilateral trade sustainable in the long run. The following table shows the status of trade with South Korea in the last 3 years. It was 2011, more than 6 billion. In 2012, it was decreased in 4,000 and something billion. Although it is very vast gap, Nepali export and Korean import. That's why trade imbalance is one problem to Nepal, because we have to to narrow out this trade imbalance. Maybe near future we can work in this field. With the view to bridging the knowledge and skill gap between the developed and developing countries, KOICA invites governments officials for the training and education in Korea, shares Korea's development experience and knowledge since 1992. So far, around 1,000 Nepalese officials and professionals have received training in Korea with KOICA assistance. KOICA also sends many volunteers to impart training in various fields. Grant economic cooperation. Sericulture development project in 1978 to 1992. Khopasi Sericulture Centers, Sericulture Training Center, Itari, feasibility study of Modikola hydropower, Korea-Nepal Friendship Hospital, Government Integrated Data Center, and Korea-Nepal Institute of Technology Project, development community based on health insurance, and modernization of custom administration in Nepal 2011 and 13. Establishment of technical training center at Kathmandu University 2011. Master plan for the Lumini Old Peace City preservation and development. In 2004, the government of Korea decided to implement the employment permit system. Already I informed you. Currently there are about 17,000 workers from Nepal, but it is more than this. Nepal and South Korea have commemorated commonalities of cultural values based on the idea of Buddhism. So both the countries are secular states. Cultural and educational exchange. Both Nepal and Korea are very proud of their rich cultural heritage. Long-standing cultural exchange and affinities between Korea and Nepal has contributed to make the bonding further stronger. Nepalese feel proud to introduce Nepal as the land of Mount Everest, highest peak of the world and birthplace of Lord Buddha. The Embassy of Nepal in Seoul has brought eternal flame from Lumbini, Nepal, the birthplace of Buddha, to install permanently on the premises of the Dosunsa Monastery in Dosunsa. Korea culture, film, food, music, the way of life are being much popular among Nepalese, especially among youngsters, Gangnam Style. Educational exchange. Currently, about 600 Nepalese students and researchers are studying in various universities and colleges in South Korea. Nepalese students are enrolling in the Korean university privately and under the scholarship provided by the Korean government or professors of respective universities as well. Many Korean students are also visiting Nepal for their international and exchanging ideas on their respective fields. A significant number of tourists arrive in Nepal from South Korea. The following figures show the tourist arrival from South Korea in the recent years. 2010, 20,320 and 24,488. Maybe right now more than 25,000 Korean tourists are visiting Nepal. In recent years, Nepalese tourists to South Korea are also increasing in number. People-to-people contacts. This is also one example, evidence of peoples-to-peoples contact. You are working, the Korean people, I want to inform you, I want to thank you very proudly. You are helping Nepali people by different means. So we are from the government of Nepal, from the Embassy of Nepal in Seoul, we thank you. We have a community of some 20,000 Nepalese national in Korea. Korea is around 400 national living in Nepal. Korea, especially this 400 is, most of them are Catholic people are in Kathmandu. Very few are government personnel and businessmen. Nowadays, businessmen also are over. Very few the scholars. Economic cooperation will play the key role in further advancing Nepal-Korea relation in future. Economic diplomacy promotion is one of the indispensable national interests of both the nations. With abundant supply of low-cost labor, availability of cheap natural resources, a huge domestic market, Korean FDI investor can find market for their products beyond the territory of Nepal. Its products enjoy duty-free and quota-free access into EU and other major economies in the world. Recently, positive sign has been seen on investment sector. Many Korean investors are showing keen interest to invest in Nepal, mainly on hydropower construction and service sector. In other hand, joint ventures are also taking place on the sector like electronics, hotel industry, chemical industry, medicinal goods, mineral water. Nepali mineral water, they sell 500 milliliter with the $3. It means expensive than petrol, gasoline. Yeah. So it is very precious. The guy cannot fulfill the demand with a $3 also right now. So in the water, also very precious and very important, Nepalese water. At present, there are 21 Korean joint venture companies operating, 1 under construction, 6 has been licensed, and 28 has been approved. Some reputed Korean companies have invited investing in hydropower project like 2016 megawatt capacity Upper Trishuli hydropower and Modikola hydropower. A Korean construction company is involved in carrying the feasibility study of the construction of International Airport of Nisgad, Bara, and is also desperate in getting contract for its construction, including the expressway connecting Kathmandu with the international airport. The Chungsung engineering company is engaged in carrying out feasibility study of Kathmandu Metropolitan Metro project, east-west section of the east-west electrical railway. Nepal and South Korea have been continuously engaging on addressing following global issues to achieve global common good. In future, also there are a lot of possibilities to act this harmony for addressing the issues. Regional security, climate change, sustainable development, global green growth, and promotion green economy. Disarmament, both the countries are in the favor of general and complete disarmament. Denuclearization, Nepal and South Korea have the common position on denuclearization of Korean Peninsula. Nepal and South Korea both are the parties to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CIBT. Countering international terrorism in any forms in one of the major foreign policy outlook of both the countries. Nepal is one of the priority countries for Korea for its increased ODA, Official Development Assistance. Korea has been supporting Nepal in achieving MDGs by 2015. It has been supporting Nepal in achieving rapid socio-economic development. Korea is also providing assistance on clean development mechanism. Nepal and South Korea can further work together address the adverse effect of climate change. Both the countries have the belief that economic growth and environmental sustainability are not merely compatible objectives. Their integration is essential for the future humankind. Both are the parties to Kyoto Protocol, which oblige the contracting parties to reduce carbon emission to certain level. As a signatory of the Kyoto Protocol, Nepal can earn carbon credits through the CDM Clean Development Mechanism window. It can sell them a certified emission reduction CERs to the rich countries and cannot meet their own carbon reduction level. The resource generated through this program could be effectively utilized for adaptation of the program. South Korea is the host country of the Global Green Growth Institution, GGI. Recently, GGI has completed its Global Green Growth Summit 2013. The Embassy of Nepal in Seoul has participated on every session of the summit to understand its global implication to address the social, economic, and environmental issues of developing countries. In my opinion, Nepal should be the member of the GGGI coming days. Aid assistance from GGI could be a milestone for converting Nepal's Millennium Development Goals into Sustainable Development Goals. As a developing country, Nepal is also become happy to work in cooperation with Korea government and with full mobilization of public and private sector in Nepal to put green growth at the heart of the economic planning in future. Nepal is a developing country with a nascent market-oriented economy. It has adopted investment-friendly policy to attract more foreign investment for its economic growth. In Nepal's economy, ODA plays a very important role. About 55% of Nepal's annual development fund comes from ODA. KOICA projects in Nepal are primarily focused on the health sector to increase social opportunities and create a safety network. KOICA has provided vocational training to increase incomes for the poor. We believe that the ODA has provided by the Korean government through KOICA and continue in future as well. Maybe in my view, the K-Water also should go to Nepal. KDI also should go to Nepal. The Korean bank also should invest to Nepal. This is our expectation. But what they do, please work together. Nepal is rich in water resources. More than 600 rivers are running from north to south, having drainage area of 100,091 square kilometer. Out of this, 75% of which lies in Nepal only. I mean to say, the drainage, the 6,000 rivers are making a drainage. This drainage, 78% only is in Nepal. So it is potential for to develop hydropower. There are 4 types of river system called Koshi, Gandaki, Karnali, and Mahakali. Like Korea, 4 river system, Nepal also 4 river system, similar like Korea. All of them are originating from glacier and glacier lakes. So it is a good source of the river, the Himalaya, and Himalayas lake, the snow lake. I believe that due utilization and exploration of the water resources of Nepal would be boon for boosting and empowering Nepal's nascent economic and profitable for foreign investment as well. Having this in mind, we are continuously encouraging foreign investment on this sector. In this connection, South Korea is one of the potential countries to invest in Nepal. Some Korean private companies have already been working in this sector, like Koika, K-Water, and also Koshep. Koshep also, newly they are entering to Nepal to invest. Thank you, Koshep. Nepal needs further assistance for the Korean government and private sector in the field of water management. For this investment should be in water-related infrastructure, including multi-purpose dam, water treatment system. Nepal's water resources amount to about 125 billion ton per year. At the same time, we all acknowledge the very fact that harnessing water resources is also considered as a vehicle to climate change impacts, and hence to be handled carefully and skillfully. So far, Nepal and Korea has been enjoying very cordial relationship. These above mentioned new dimension on Nepal-Korea relation would have the capacity to take this long-standing friendship and cooperation to the level of optimum height. Thank you, Kamsamida. Maybe I am adding here. I talked about a high dam project, like this kind of project we can execute over there. Foreign investor can invest in this kinds of dam. Here, only here you can, by this project, you can generate hydropower 3,000 megawatt only by this dam. So this dam should be useful for the transportation and useful for the food, sustainable food. This green part of our hillside, we can harvest and grow food grains over there. This elevation is very appropriate and very good. There is no too hot, there is no too cold, never minus over here. The level of the climate is agreeable, less than 30 degrees Celsius. More than 6 degrees Celsius. Minimum is 6, maximum is 30. Means no necessary all the time without AC you can stay over there. So very good place. No necessary greenhouses over here. But it is unfortunate. The big river is going up to the Bay of Bengal every time. But this area is very dry area. So just water flowing we are seeing over there. That's why I want to show this dam to you. Let's work together. I showed there the sample of the multi-purpose dam, and this dam will be a multi-utilization of water, irrigation, hydropower generation, social use, and industrial use, including tourism, and boosting green economy of the country. Also to save the environment also. And these are the main grains of Nepal. The corn, the paddy, and many species of paddy over there. Many species of the corn we can find only in Nepal. And there are many more. Coffee also. We grow the coffee. And many more. And this is the fruits. And that's lychee, apple, banana, and mango, many more. Potato, ginger, and everything. Thank you for participating and listening my presentation so patiently. Thank you.